Hi guys, what is going on? And welcome to Age of Empires 4. I guess it is safe to say we've all been waiting for actually some gameplay on this game for really quite a long time now, so it's awesome to have finally actually get some footage on the game. Although, I must say, initially at least, I am a little bit disappointed with what I have seen, particularly given how long the game has actually been in development. I feel like the character models and the animations seem kind of a little bit dated, and as well the gameplay and what mechanics we actually get to see throughout the trailer seem very similar to the original trilogy. And I guess that opens up an important question that I perhaps hadn't really thought about when I first heard that this game was in development, and that is, is this game a remaster of the original, a modern day updated Age of Empires 2? Or is this a standalone, a new game, a new RTS for 2021? And I don't necessarily have the answer to that, and I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong answer. I guess I expected a modern day standalone Age of Empires 4, carving a new path, and so I was kind of surprised to see some of the things that we saw in the trailer. For example, when you look how the arrows and archers work in this game, I just think the animations look really bad. The arrows just look awful to me. They're huge. They're like the size of a man. And little bits like that just kind of slightly ruin it a little bit for me. I guess these are things that are all going to be tweaks. The game is still yet to go into closed beta, so obviously there's going to be improvements yet to come. But just little bits like that kind of have me slightly worried. And I think this was kind of reflected in some of the comments that we saw on the live stream where they actually announced this gameplay footage, with quite a few people calling it cartoony or looks like a mobile game. And while I think that's a bit harsh, I think the graphics just weren't necessarily what a lot of people were expecting given how long the game is in development. But having said that, graphics clearly aren't everything. Mechanics and gameplay is really what makes a game good. And it's the reason that Age of Empires 2 is still hugely popular now, despite having been out for 20 years. But to some extent, we're not really going to be able to fully assess these mechanics until we can actually get our hands on the game. But it is good to see that we are going to be getting a variety of different factions in the game. From things like the Chinese, to the Normans, to the Saxons. They've even given us a faction preview on the Delhi Sultanate, so it's really awesome that we're going to be getting a variety of different factions from all over the world. We also see a lot of classic Age of Empires mechanics, and they're even making jokes about this during the live stream, from collecting sheep, to food gathering from berry bushes, and villagers turning into militia. We also get to see a lot of similar building trees and building chains from the classic game, and often things like that kind of slightly initially had me concerned. It looks like the game is almost a modern copy of Age of Empires 2. But we also get to see some pretty neat features. For example, the Mongolians are actually properly nomadic. We get to see their entire base pack up into wagons and shift to the other side of the map. Now, things like that are actually pretty cool. We also get to see troops manning towers and walls to rain down arrows on approaching enemy troops. Again, a new feature. Things like that we like to see. Although, slightly concerningly, it did almost look like the gameplay looked like it was actually stuttering slightly while it was trying to do some of those larger fights. Hopefully that's not the case and it's just sort of an early game bug, but that did have me slightly concerned. I guess this all leads up to the point of what do we want, or what do we expect from an RTS game like this in 2021? Maybe realistic graphics aren't that important, and certainly a lot more rests upon game mechanics in a genre like this, in an RTS genre. And while to some extent there is actually also very little competition in this genre, which kind of means that, let's face it, if you like me love RTS games, you're probably going to buy this game whatever. But there are still some other games on the horizon in the genre that might have the dev team over at Relic a little bit concerned. One example might be Manor, a modern day RTS and battle game currently in development. Manor is certainly going to win on the graphics front, at least from the realistic graphics front, but how comparable actually are they? Do they appeal to the same audiences? There is certainly an argument that says, well, no. Manor is a gritty, realistic medieval RTS game. you'll play alone, and you'll likely sink whole days of your life trying to decide where to place your wheat fields. Age of Empires has always been more of an arcade game, with faster paced battles, early game rushes, fast wall and defence tower building, which are far larger than any realistic castle ever built, along with joining up with friends in online or, if you're really old, LAN matches. And that's the sort of game that I think they might be trying to capture once again, and I think that's why we're seeing it in the style that we are. And so, in conclusion, where does that leave us? I said at the start of this video, after initially watching that trailer, I was pretty disappointed, with what I'd actually seen, and to some extent, that sort of slight disappointment is still there. I went back and checked on the original announcement trailer, which has now got over 11 million views, and it was actually released in August 2017. I feel like that's quite a lot of development time, and I don't feel kind of blown away by what I've seen today. However, my views have certainly softened. As I've watched the trailer more, the art style doesn't seem as bad to me anymore, and I do certainly have that itch to actually get back into Age of Empires and start getting back into some of the 4 campaigns that are going to be available when the game launches. Finally, they did also announce that the game will be releasing in autumn this year, but that closed beta will actually be starting really soon. So if you're wanting to get involved, you need to be signed up on the Age of Empires website as what they're calling a Age of Empires Insider, and have uploaded your PC specs, done an NDA and things like that, and then a number of players are going to be selected for the beta. Although I'm guessing the beta is more than likely still going to be under the NDA, so we probably won't really be getting any reviews or too much gameplay footage from it, unfortunately. Although I guess we can hope that they do allow some recording to go on, or maybe they'll allow some of the content creators to actually create some footage on the game and give some sort of initial feedback on how they're finding things so far. But I am actually also really interested on what you all think of the footage so far. Are you impressed, disappointed, or, somewhere in between? I wonder if I maybe personally put too much emphasis on the graphics, and that's what's coloured my disappointment a little bit, but maybe in reality, the bulk of people aren't really that bothered about that, and gameplay really is the all-important factor. But either way, do let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to actually start to get a bit of an idea on how well people are actually receiving the game so far. Is it something that you're generally really excited for and looking forward to coming out? Because it's really actually not that long until they're proposing to get to the release. We're only basically less than 6 months away from autumn this year, so it's really not going to be that long till this game's actually coming out. But anyway, that is all we've got time for on today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed taking a little bit of a look at Age of Empires 4. Certainly one that I've not really been following that closely previously, but I guess we haven't really had all that many details on it. So it's finally nice to be able to see a little bit more and actually get stuck into it. So thank you for watching, guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.